Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
In closing, I want to say, hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine. Thank you very much.
Hi there, I'm Anita Alvarez. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine show.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson, and welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Back to that lemon light city, sweet Hope, Chicago. 224 446. Come on, baby, now get your business fixed. Come on, honey, don't you wanna go back to the lemon line?
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine show. By the way, I'd also like you to introduce you to Anita Alvarez, one of my most favorite people in the whole wide world, because me and her are scissor happy, scissor friends, scissor pals.
Thank you, Marty. Avi Myers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Dial us up on the web at ntnm.org. We're real big on communitypolicingcaps24.org. And before I introduce my next guest, I'd like to urge all of you that I am eminently bribable. There's a coffee cup here, that says Anita Alvarez, State's Attorney. And there's other good stuff on the other side. And I also got a pen with it. So, it's like, bring large gifts. I would say that unconsecutive, unmarked bills left into the tree stump in the backyard are probably my favorites. So that I would appreciate greatly. But in any event, it is a pleasure to introduce you to, of course, the person, and you saw it in the beginning of the show this time, who did the finest Marty Levinson in the history of Marty Levinsons, the State's Attorney of Cook County, 2 terms, Anita Alvarez. How are you?
Hi, how you doing, Avi?
Good.
And hi to Marty as well.
Great. And I want to say hi also to Dan Kirk, your Chief of Staff, and to Sally Daly Hunt, who brought you here. And we correspond quite a bit on Facebook all the time.
Absolutely.
So we're always in touch. So what's new and exciting in the State's Attorney's office?
There's all kinds of new and exciting things happening in the State's Attorney. I hope you like the mug I brought you.
Oh, it's beautiful. Thank
Happy
you.
Hanukkah. Today's the last day of Hanukkah,
Thank you.
so I thought I'd better bring you a gift.
Appreciate it.
But things are quite busy. Things are very busy. We just had a press conference on Monday, or Tuesday rather, with the mayor. It was the mayor's press conference, just to announce some of the new initiatives and changes that we'll be doing in the domestic violence coordination. And obviously our office, we handle the cases each and every day, coming not only from the city of Chicago, but from the entire county. But the Chicago Police Department, the mayor is very, very involved and interested in making sure that the police officers are properly trained on how to handle these cases. As we know, domestic violence cases are certainly more complex and intricate than other cases that we handle. And the most important thing is that all of the staff, whether it's the first responders, the police officers who arrive at the scene, and us in court, the prosecutors and other investigators, that we're all on the same page, have the most training that we can possibly have, and because it is specialized, much different than handling other cases. And you want to make sure that the officers are trained correctly, and so the mayor is committed to training officers. We are involved in our office. When I took over, I implemented a new training procedure for every assistant state's attorney that works in the domestic violence division, as well as all of our investigators and our victim witness staff. It's called the 40-hour training, and it's training that advocates, domestic violence advocates, that's the training that they do. And so we have never done that before till I took over. I implemented that, and it's been great because we're all on the same page. And domestic violence is one of those crimes that touches every community. It doesn't matter what socioeconomic background you come from. It doesn't matter whether you live in Rogers Park, whether you live in, in South Shore. It touches everyone, and it's most important. We want the victims of domestic violence to feel secure with the police department and with our office.
Yeah, no, we've got shelters here. Now, the interesting thing is that I never even thought about until they told me is they never tell anybody where it is because they don't want the
the offenders
to do anything about it.
Right.
So, well, that's a great initiative. I mean, it is everywhere, and it's at the community policing meetings. So often, a high percentage of what happens in the neighborhood is domestic violence.
Absolutely.
You know, when people see raw numbers and they think, oh, all these not burglaries. No, domestic violence is what most of these things are.
Right, and just last week, Vice President Biden was in town to help. It was a groundbreaking ceremony for a new shelter on the south side of the city, and it's the first time that the city has done something new in regards to shelters, domestic violence shelters, in I believe a dozen years.
Wow.
So it was great to have the Vice President here for that ceremony and Senator Durbin. And we're really happy to be a part of it and to be able to do our job. We get the cases once they come in, but we want to make sure that the victims receive all the services that they need, in addition to what we do in court, but the social services, the shelters, the help that they need, that's really important.
No, that sounds good. Now, you gave me this DVD, and I want to make sure we bring it up. And this is something that's available. You contact the state, well, she'll explain. You contact the state's attorney's office, of course. But basically, this has to do with protecting your kids on the internet.
Absolutely. And I don't have to tell any of the viewers out there that everything is on the internet these days, and our children are on the internet, often way too much, but they are. And what we've seen is an increase in the predators that are out there who are, looking for that vulnerable child on the internet, and they tend to they're able to pick out the most vulnerable and strike up a relationship, be it a gaming video site and just Facebook, social media sites, and this particular software is available. It's called Computer Cop. And it's something that we put out from our office, and it's available to parents and to schools. And if you go to our website, the Cook County State's Attorney's website, which is just statesattorney.org, you'll be able to sign up, and we'll send you a copy of this. But it's
free.
It's free. And it's software that would assist you as a parent or a teacher to make sure that you can block certain sites, so you can see what your kids are viewing and doing on the internet. Because, as I said, we've seen an increase in our ICAC unit. Our ICAC unit is Internet Crimes Against Children. And in Cook County, obviously, we are in charge of the ICAC unit. The Attorney General's office handles the ICAC unit for the rest of the state. And what we've seen, though, is an increase in these types of cases where predators are coming in from out of state. We had one recently where a 31-year-old man from Colorado who struck up a relationship with a 15-year-old girl here in Chicago via a gaming site, not social media, a gaming site, and drove all the way from Colorado here to try to start a sexual relationship with this young girl. And so we are seeing these types of cases, an increase in this types of cases. So I think it's important that parents know what to do, what to look for. And I know it's difficult being a mom and being a mom of teenagers. I know this is difficult. So we're hoping that Computer Cop will be out there and be a valuable resource for parents when it comes to looking for these types of crimes.
I'll tell you something, even on Facebook, I mean, I get all these interesting friend requests from really hot-looking girls in their young 20s in Ghana. And one time I actually decided to have a conversation. I was curious what was going to be said. And she told me, she so admired my profile and blah, blah, blah. But she needed $3,000 to come over. And
the scams,
yeah,
right.
A lot of scams. So, I mean, I would say that at least once a week, somebody tries to friend me that I know is a scam thing.
Right. So we have to be very careful. And when you're talking about 12, 13-year-old girls, it's easy to scam, and that's what these guys are looking for. And believe me, they know what they're looking for. Their experience, they can kind of see who fits their profile, so to speak, so they know who they can strike up a relationship with.
Now I would imagine that the nature. I know the nature of crime from what I see in the neighborhood. People aren't stealing what they used to. I mean, they're going more for things like iPhones and electronic stuff and stuff that they can easily pawn.
Right.
And actually, I think the number of business burglaries in this area so far this year is something like about 8, which is nothing, but it doesn't mean that there aren't, all kinds of interesting other crimes.
Sure.
Are you finding on a countywide level that crime is changing also?
Well, I think we've seen the latest numbers that despite what, unfortunately, I think Chicago has gotten this reputation of being so violent, and we all know, those of us from large urban areas, that it's not just Chicago, that every large urban area has experienced, or it is experiencing, many of the things that we are as well. But we've seen overall a decrease, but you're right. Things like cell phones, iPads, this kind of the snatch and grab on the CTA, those types of crimes we probably didn't see as much. Well, obviously purse, you're going to see the purse snatches, but what we're seeing is the phone. Everybody has a phone these days. Everybody's got a phone in their hand these days as they're on the L, as they're on the bus, and not really paying attention. And so there is an increase in those kinds of thefts, which, again, that's a whole routine as well. They kind of watch and wait for that door to open on the L and reach in, grab your phone, and they're off. And so those types of things have been increasing. But obviously, overall, the increase of the crimes on the internet, because you're talking about the sexual predators, you're talking about things like, inhuman trafficking, where young girls are kind of, singled out and meet someone only to now suddenly be forced, to go out there and get sold for, in a sex trafficking case. We've seen that as well. So there's a lot of dangers that could come on the internet. Everything is viral these days.
Yeah.
The bullying. Bullying existed when you and I were kids, right?
But bullying was a little different.
It was different, wasn't it?
That's how I learned how to fight. I mean, having a name like Avi in a largely Polish Catholic neighborhood and wearing a yarmulke, I was a target, and I wasn't always this tall either.
But think about that, You're right, bullying has always existed from the beginning of time, but...
And it probably always will, it's just a different nature
It's
now.
a different nature. Now it's viral. So now if somebody is bullying you, the entire school knows about it, and the entire neighborhood knows about it, because it's all on social media and it's out there. So kids, tend to get probably bullied even more than what we saw growing up.
Oh, I've still had some interesting bullying efforts. As a matter of fact, one of the neighbors made all kinds of interesting charges against me on a neighborhood message board that weren't true, created a false identity for me on Yahoo, an email identity, and started emailing things to the police to get me removed from the police board and from doing the CAPS things and all that. And thank God I caught her. I mean, unfortunately, police rules kind of made things messy for a few months. But, and then of course there's my state senator and alderman, who I won't name, who threatened to sue me. And I handled it back in kind. So it's one of my most popular videos for the show. Go to our YouTube site, and you can watch me read the lawyer letters from the lovely Silversteins and go from there. But now you were in Israel, you were saying.
I was back in March,
Yeah.
and I was invited, and I was with a group of other, primarily Latino officials from other states. There were 4 of us from Chicago that went. It was absolutely beautiful. It was one of the best trips I've ever taken. It wasn't just sightseeing, obviously. We learned a lot. Got to meet with many of the officials in the government, and learned a lot, a great deal. But everything I saw was beautiful. The old city of Jerusalem.
Yeah, I've been there.
And as it doesn't matter what your faith is, because it's all there. And as a Catholic, as a Christian, you know, to be there and just to see everything that you've learned about, right, your entire life and what you were, the faith that you were brought up in. The first day we were there in the Old City, there was a funeral, and it was a Coptic funeral.
Yeah.
So again, it was something that we don't see here in this country, but as soon as we walked in, there's this whole, like, you know, hundreds of people carrying the coffin, you know, and moving quickly. And it was, for all of us as Americans, we were like, what is this? Because you don't see that here. And then we found out from one of the police officers that that's what it was. It was really just absolutely beautiful. And the Sea of Galilee, it was gorgeous. And we lucked out because the weather was warmer than, it was unseasonably warm. And even when we were in Jerusalem, it was so hot in our hotel rooms. But the staff at the hotel said, well, you don't understand. It's usually 20 degrees colder than it is. So we lucked out. We had beautiful weather. So when we were driving through the Sea of Galilee, it was gorgeous. And I got to float in the Dead Sea.
Oh, cool.
Have you done that? Because you've
No,
been there.
I have been there, but the truth is, I was actually there on a reporter's tour.
Oh,
and actually,
okay.
we toured things like military installations. We were up on the Gaza Strip and all that.
Oh, okay.
And I was interviewing politicians. The fact is that I wanted to go to a certain seminary that my uncle was working for. So the day they went there is the day I went to Bnei Brak, which is right near Tel Aviv, and went to Slobodka Yeshiva for my uncle. So that I missed.
Oh, but no, it was all beautiful. But I stood on a chair to get up on the Wailing Wall to put my prayer up there,
Oh,
so
cool.
to make sure that it wasn't going to get knocked out by something else. But it really was a great trip. I learned a lot. I saw a lot, and I'd love to go back with my kids one
Yeah,
day.
it was. I remember when I came into the airport in Tel Aviv and went down to Jerusalem. It just looked weird, and I mean, not counting Canada, I'd never been out of the country at the time, and it just looked weird. And then, you know, I went outside the hotel, and it said scenic site, like 100 meters, and I saw the Tower of David, and I just freaked, and I just, you know, ran straight up the mountain.
Yeah, it really is. There's something like, as I said, no matter what your faith is, it's all there. And so
Yeah.
I think everyone got this kind of sense, this feeling. It really was awesome.
No, it's true, and you know, well, I'm not going to get into the whole Middle East problems right now, but the fact is that it is so valuable and so beautiful,
Yes.
and all that is why a lot of people seem to want it. So there's no question about it. We've actually got less than 3 minutes. So
Oh,
what would you
okay.
like to cover?
Well, I think just to focus on what we've been doing at the State's Attorney's Office in regards to the human trafficking. It's an initiative that I took on, and we've gotten some great response from our law enforcement partners working together on a task force with the U.S. Attorney's Office and our office. And I got to meet the new U.S. Attorney. Just had a meeting with him the other day. So we will continue with our efforts. And I think what's so important is that when you talk about human trafficking, particularly the sex trafficking of minors, that people realize that it happens here, and it happens with our own kids, you know, local kids, not necessarily someone brought over from a foreign country. Kids who were born and raised right here that get caught up in this lifestyle and continue to be victims. And so, you know, we've been able to build some great cases against the offenders and get some good sentences. And so we're going to continue to do that and hopefully continue to create that awareness that to everyone that this happens in our own backyard, unfortunately. It's not an easy thing to talk about, but it's something that we all have to be aware of.
Well, one thing I think that we've actually talked about this on the air is people should remember, too, that especially the people that drive around late at night to interesting neighborhoods.
Sure.
That some of those kids out on the streets soliciting might be the victim of that kind of slave
Absolutely, absolutely. That, you know, they're not out there doing that of their own free will, and that's what we have to make sure that, you know, we look out for them.
trade. Yeah, no question about it. So, okay, well, in summary, if you'd like to get this, go to the website,
Go to the website, which is www.statesattorney.org.
And it's free.
And it's free, and there's a link where we'll send it to you. So you can let us know, give us your information, and we'll get it out to you.
No, that sounds good. And excuse me, I'll shake with your lefty now. But I'd like to thank very much State's Attorney Anita Alvarez.
Thank you, Alan.
And the doer of the best Marty Levinson ever. I also want to thank Sally Daly Hunt and Mark Kirk for bringing you over here. And of course, you have your officials that have to come by law and check my place out first for thermonuclear incendiary devices. And guys, next time bring the good drugs, okay? But in any event, I want to thank my entire technical crew, Sonny Hirsch. Thank you, Anita. And stick around. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.